So I've responded to the sense of being implicated in a problematic structure by trying to minimize my participation in it. But I know it's not a perfect response, and so I feel moderately guilty about my suburban home and my private car. Participating in our broader consumer culture also seems to carry moral weight. I just received a book I ordered in the mail, and I have complicated feelings about that. Online shopping is phenomenally convenient, but it comes with costs. I would have preferred to support one of my favorite local bookstores, even though that would bring with it some extra driving, but I didn't have time to make the trip, from here in the suburbs, of course, before I needed the book. And while that means I didn't need to make a trip, the delivery person did, coming all the way to my home to deliver a box with just a single book. I have no idea how to feel morally about all of the various components of this small consumer decision. Even our entertainment decisions are not left untouched by such moralizing. In recent years, there have been extensive debates about the appropriateness of deplatforming or boycotting problematic artists. In the wake of the #MeToo movement, it became clear that some previously beloved actors, directors, comedians, and other public figures were deeply problematic people. Some of them not only sexually harassed or assaulted women, but did so for years with impunity, becoming unbelievably wealthy and powerful the whole time. When we learn this about someone, should we stop consuming their products? It feels like we should, though it's a bit hard to articulate why. If I stream a stand-up comedy special through Netflix, it's not likely that an artist or their financial backers would notice that I viewed their product, nor would my refusal to watch have any measurable impact on them. And some people argue that we should separate a person from their art. After all, if someone is a misogynist or racist, it's not clear that this makes their art less beautiful, funny, or entertaining. But watching does seem to support them in some way, even if they wouldn't notice, and that feels morally problematic. A similar point came up in late 2022 when Qatar hosted the FIFA World Cup. The matches making up the World Cup are some of the most watched events in the world, with an audience numbering in the billions. Even those of us who don't closely follow soccer, or football, as our international friends would have it, are drawn into the high-drama matches. But the 2022 matches were shadowed by significant controversy. When Qatar won the bid to host the Cup, it had nowhere near the infrastructure necessary for such a massive event. As a very small country, approximately 80% the size of Connecticut, Qatar needed to essentially build an entirely new city in which to hold the tournament, including stadiums, hotels, restaurants, and transportation. But with a population of only 300,000 Qataris, the burden of this work fell on the millions of migrant workers brought in from Asia. In recent years, it has become clear that this system of employment was widely abused, with immigrants working long hours in the blazing heat and then living in stifling, unsanitary housing camps. A report by The Guardian concluded that in the decade after being awarded the World Cup hosting rights in 2010, more than 6,500 migrant workers from South Asia died in Qatar. Although FIFA and Qatar dispute this number, there are ample reports of atrocious living and working conditions, making it clear that whatever the precise number of people who died from the attempt to rebuild a nation in just over a decade, it was a terrible burden that fell on a vulnerable population. So, should none of us have watched the World Cup? I certainly felt the pull in that direction. To watch was to support FIFA's and Qatar's decision to build a city in a desert with exploited migrant labor, which predictably caused terrible suffering. But at the same time, no one cares whether I watch or not. When billions of others are watching, my choice is insignificant. And the World Cup is a cultural phenomenon that carries a lot of meaning for many people. Should a Lionel Messi fan really be expected to give up watching his last dance in order to take some sort of righteous stand? We could continue digging up cases, but the basic context that makes up the confusing ethics of today is the following. Many of us feel an individual responsibility to address massive collective problems, despite an inability to act in ways that have a meaningful impact on those problems. We, as a global society, must address climate change. Doing so is an absolute moral requirement because it is already causing devastation, with the worst yet to come. As a result, I feel some responsibility not to contribute to climate change and to be a force for positive change, even though, realistically, my contributions either to the problem or to a solution